We've all been there. You're lying in bed, physically exhausted, desperately trying to drift off to sleep, but your brain has decided to host a phantom concert, playing the exact same 5 seconds of a song on a relentless, unbreakable loop. This universal phenomenon is known as an earworm. Outside research notes that scientists refer to this as involuntary musical imagery, which occurs when a part of your working memory, called the phonological loop, gets temporarily stuck processing a short audio fragment. But why does this happen? And more importantly, why do some people, especially chronic overthinkers, seem so much more vulnerable to these endless mental loops? The answer isn't just about catchy music. It reveals a hidden truth about how your brain is currently wired, how it handles modern overstimulation, and what happens when your mind entirely loses the ability to simply sit in silence.
To understand why a song gets stuck, we have to look at how your brain processes repetition. Your brain is essentially an incredibly efficient pattern recognition machine. From a neuroscience perspective, it naturally prioritizes scanning for problems, mistakes, and uncertainty because that old survival software is what kept early humans alive. When you chronically overthink, constantly worrying about the future, stressing over details, or replaying old conversations, you are actively training your brain to run repetitive loops. Every single time you repeat a mental pattern, your brain strengthens that specific neural pathway. In other words, if you practice overthinking every day, your brain simply gets highly skilled at doing it. An earworm hooks into this exact same mental machinery. A brain that is highly trained to spin in negative thinking loops or overanalyze daily details is a brain perfectly primed to trap a catchy melody and spin it endlessly. Your brain is not broken. It is just doing exactly what it is practiced.
But there is a second, massive factor driving this mental chaos: modern overload. We live in an era of artificial dopamine overload, where the brain is conditioned to expect non-stop stimulation from short-form content, notifications, and endless scrolling. This constant influx creates severe attention fragmentation. When you half-watch videos while half listening to music and half scrolling through social media, your attention becomes deeply shallow. These tiny, constant interruptions leave behind cognitive residue. A part of your attention stays behind with every tab switch or notification, meaning your brain feels mentally overloaded and chaotic, despite accomplishing very little deeply. Because your baseline dopamine exposure becomes extremely high, your nervous system rarely settles down. Your brain actively learns to expect infinite unpredictability and non-stop novelty. So what happens when you finally turn off your phone, lay in bed, and the external noise stops? The silence feels incredibly uncomfortable, and sometimes even threatening. To avoid this quiet discomfort, the brain instantly searches for background stimulation. It reaches for an earworm. That endlessly repeating song isn't just an annoyance. It is often a form of emotional regulation, a way for an overstimulated brain to avoid uncertainty, stillness, and the buried mental noise that immediately surfaces when you are finally quiet.
So how do you shut the jukebox off and regain control of your working memory? Most people try to use brute willpower to fight the thought, but arguing with your own brain almost never works. Real brain training requires a different system: awareness, interruption, and replacement. First, you must build awareness by simply noticing the mental loop without judging it or getting frustrated by it. Catching the automatic behavior is the very first step to weakening it. Second, you must interrupt the loop physically. Basic neuroscience shows that your mind and body are deeply linked. Your brain cannot easily stay in the same mental loop when your physical state suddenly changes. So when the earworm gets overwhelmingly loud, don't just lie there in frustration. Shift your posture, take a slow breath, look around your environment, or get up and move your body slightly. This physical interruption breaks the momentum of the thought, much like slowing down a moving train.
Finally, to stop these loops permanently, you must replace the constant need for high dopamine stimulation with slower, deeply rewarding behaviors. To stop endless mental loops, you have to retrain your focus like a muscle. Start by aggressively reducing unnecessary dopamine drains, especially the rapid short-form content that heavily trains your brain for rapid attention switching. Practice uninterrupted focus daily by picking just one task for 20 minutes with zero background noise or multitasking. Importantly, you need to intentionally rebuild your boredom tolerance. Modern life treats boredom like an emergency, but giving your brain empty space allows thoughts to fully develop and provides crucial mental processing room. When you learn to sit quietly for a few minutes daily, letting thoughts pass without engaging them, your brain slowly learns how to settle on its own. Breaking the cycle of earworms, mental loops, and overthinking isn't a magical overnight fix. It requires daily consistency over intense temporary effort. But as you reduce overstimulation and practice deep focus, your mind will feel quieter. Simple tasks will feel less painful, and your attention will become your absolute greatest advantage. Your brain is constantly adapting to whatever you feed it every single day. Will you feed it endless distraction and repetitive loops? Or will you train it for clarity, focus, and peace?
Breaking these mental loops doesn't happen overnight, but your brain can feel very different 30 days from now if you simply start changing what you repeatedly feed it. So here is your challenge for today. Pick just one small habit to start, like sitting quietly for 5 minutes without your phone, and simply let your thoughts pass without engaging them. Ask yourself honestly, what would your life look like 1 year from now if you finally became consistent and took back control of your focus? If this video helped you understand how to stop these endless mental loops and gave you a system you can actually follow, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Daily Mind for more practical content on discipline, habits, and building a better mind step by step. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you own right now, so protect it carefully.